Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Golf 101. So, if you missed the last episode, go check that out. In the last one, we talked about grip. We talked all about the technique you need when you grip the golf club, different styles of grips you can use, different hand alignments with the grips, and kind of what all that will do for your golf swing and kind of the tendencies you'll see if you lean one way or the other. So, in this episode today, we're going to talk about alignment. So, obviously, if you're asking any golfer, is alignment important? They'll tell you yes. If you don't know where you're aimed or if you're aimed incorrectly, you're not going to be able to consistently hit the ball on target and really accomplish what you want to accomplish in the golf swing. But if you ask a golfer how to align themselves with the golf ball or how to square up to the golf ball, a lot of golfers don't know kind of all the different points of alignment that we need in the golf swing to all be lined up and what all those will do if they are out of line and how those will change the way that we strike the golf ball and the way the golf ball flies. So when we're talking about alignment, a lot of golfers have a general idea of what it means to be aimed toward your target and aim correctly, but a lot of them miss the full picture. So when you're talking about alignment with most golfers, they'll usually go straight to the feet. They'll usually think, okay, so I line up my feet to where I want to go, and then I put the club down and I line that up, and then I'm good to go. And this is not really the case. So when we're talking about alignment, we have a couple different points in our body that we all want to be aligned. So that's step one. We want all the points that we're going to go over to be on the same line, all pointed in the same direction. And then we want the club to be pointed down a similar line, but we want those lines to be parallel. When I'm talking with all my students, what I'll tell them is we want our alignment to look like train tracks. We want the club to be pointed directly toward our target, and we want our feet, our hips, and our shoulders, which we'll get into all three of those. We want those all to be pointed down the same line, and we want it to be never crossing our club face line, and we want it to be never diverging from it. So we want, if I'm lining up directly toward the camera here, I want the club to be pointed exactly where I want to go, and then I want my feet, my hips, my shoulders, I want all that to be pointed down a similar line, but it's going to be just left of where my actual target is. I'm not going to aim left, but I'm going to have these imaginary lines here to be along the same parallel lines, just a little bit left, so that way I'm not crossing over on either side. Another thing I like to talk about with my students is kind of the order in which we line everything up. So when I'm talking about alignment with my students, the first thing I have them do is I always want them to pick their target. That is the biggest key, because you can't be lined up correctly if you don't have a target to line up to. So I'll have everybody pick a target, and then I'll have them go stand behind their golf ball, kind of look at their target, look at their golf ball, and we're going to place the club face first. We're going to place it exactly down that target line. What really helps here is if you pick an intermediate target just a little bit in front of the golf ball to kind of help you to get it lined up with the club face. So if I have my golf ball down in the fairway and I have a little piece of pine straw right in front of my ball and it's directly in the line of where I want my target to be, I will set up and I will point my club directly through the golf ball toward that little piece of pine straw. You can use anything for this. It can be a single blade of grass that you notice. It can be a piece of pine straw. It can be a pine cone. It can be anything. You just want it to be kind of something small that will not interfere with your actual golf shot, but that you can use as a visual aid to align your club face with your target. So once we have the club face lined up with our golf ball and our target, the next thing we need to do is we need to set our feet. So this takes a little bit of training. If you're on the range, I like to bring out an alignment stick just to practice this and test this. But set up, go ahead and pick your imaginary target, go ahead and line up the club face, and then try to get your feet to be exactly parallel with that line that you have between the club face and the target. And you want the line of your toes to be the exact same parallel. You want it to be going straight out just directly to the side of where your target is. And then I like to put either a club or an alignment stick down, and then I'll go behind the golf ball. I'll kind of see, did I make my train tracks? Did the line of my feet line up perfectly, just parallel to the line of the golf ball? Did I set up a little open or a little closed? I just want to see kind of where I am, what my eyes are seeing. Your eyes can be very deceiving when you're over the golf ball, and you might have a little bit of aim bias. So we want to try to kind of see where our eyes are at, see if we have any aim bias, if we need to adjust one way or the other, and kind of make those adjustments, practice that until we have a very good idea that we are lining up with those parallel lines on the range. So now we have the golf ball, the club, and the feet lined up. The next step up is getting the hips lined up. So a lot of golfers, they kind of stop at the feet. You know, some can get really good at lining up the feet and the golf ball and the club, everything, but they kind of have no sense of direction when it comes to their hips or their shoulders. So with the hips, one of the easiest ways to test your alignment is if you go ahead and set up, you go ahead and do the whole drill with picking an intermediate target on the ground, you line up the toes. If you stick an alignment stick through your belt buckles, you can kind of see which way your hips are kind of aimed at. So this, you won't really be able to see super well from when you're standing over the golf ball. So it's important to use either another set of eyes or a camera. Use something to either video yourself doing this drill or have someone to kind of show you kind of where you're aimed at. It's going to be looks can be very deceiving, especially when you're standing over the golf ball. You might think that, you know, you're lined up good, and then you could be, you know, 20 degrees open, 20 degrees closed. That's a little dramatic, but you can be open or closed and not even realize it. And then finally, we have the shoulders. This might be the most commonly overlooked thing when you're looking at alignment. So a lot of golfers, you know, they'll have the feet, they'll have the club. Some of them will do this hip drill. Very few check their shoulders. And this is the one that can be off by the most, because when you're thinking about alignment, a lot of people go to the lower body, especially the feet, but your shoulders are increasingly important to your alignment as well. Your shoulders, we want to do kind of the same thing here with kind of looking at either a club or an alignment stick on the shoulders and kind of making sure that it kind of matches the line of the feet, that we're not closed or open. And of course, you might need a second set of eyes or a camera, something like that, to test this. But the whole feeling we're going for here is to get the shoulders, the hips, the feet, and the club all on that same line there. We want the shoulders, hips, and feet to be on one line, all on the same line and parallel to that line of the golf club. So now that we've learned how to properly align ourselves with the golf ball and with our target, let's talk about why this is important and what improper alignment looks like and what it might do for your golf swing. So proper alignment, you know, it's great to have the club face aimed at your target, to have your body all set to make a nice square golf swing to your target. And if you're not aligned this way, it can cause different problems with all different aspects of your swing and kind of the shot results you're going to see. So the first thing we're going to talk about is if your club face is not aligned. So if your club face is not aligned, it basically is going to influence the start direction of your golf shot. So everything else being equal, if I line up with everything aligned but the club face open, my ball is going to start further to the right for me as a right-handed golfer, or if you're a left-handed golfer with an open club face, start more to the left. The opposite is true if you set up with a closed club face with everything else being aligned. You are much more likely to see the ball start to the left as a right-handed golfer or the right as a left-handed golfer. So now let's talk about body alignment. So body alignment is where I see a lot of golfers who want to shape the golf ball a certain way. They try to manipulate the way their body is lined up to the golf ball. And they do this to kind of try to influence the way the ball curves. And some people are great at this. Some people don't know what they're doing. But the most common thing I see is I'll see people line up. They have the club at least pretty close to on the right line for their target. And then they'll say, okay, I want to hit a draw. So I need to have the club moving in to out. So I'm going to move my feet to be closed off to my target. And then they fail to really adjust their hips or their shoulders. And so their body is still lined up exactly down that target line that they didn't want to be going down. And their feet are just kind of a little odd and a little offline. So this might not really give you the club path that you desire, because as you swing through the swing, even though your feet are lined up kind of along this line where you want to hit this draw by swing, your shoulders and your hips are still lined up like your normal stock swing. So what this might cause is this might cause you to hit the exact same shot. It might cause you to just push the ball. It might cause you to even just hit one a little closer to the hosel, maybe even shank it. So what we really want to do is when we're really adjusting our alignment, we need to make sure we adjust everything. So for this, instead of just changing our feet, we're also going to slightly shift our hips and our shoulders. And we're going to try to keep the club kind of to that same square target that we want to, because then as we swing, with everything kind of shifted this way, it's going to cause more of that in to out path. And we're going to see that if the club stays square and we get more of that path we desire, we'll see that little draw spin that we want, opposed to setting up with the feet changed and the body the same and hitting that same shot just with some weird stance issues. One of the other common issues I see is people will set up and they'll say, oh, I learned that if I want to hit a draw, I need to line up further right if I'm a right-handed golfer, which can be true. And when they do this, a lot of golfers, they will either do the thing where they move their feet and don't move the rest of their body, or they'll just move everything further right and they'll have that same swing and just launch everything way out to the right, and they won't see the curve that they want. They'll kind of question what went wrong. They'll have a bigger miss. And this will lead to more problems with both them questioning their alignment and their confidence in their golf game. So although this advice can work with lining up differently for a different shot shape, we have to make sure that we have a constant variable and a changing variable when we do this. If we have everything the exact same, we're not going to see a difference in our golf swing. If we have the wrong thing changed, we're going to see the wrong end result in our golf swing. So when we're doing something like this, when we're trying to manipulate the path with our alignment, we need to make sure that our feet, our hips, and our shoulders, everything with the body, changes alignment while the club doesn't. The club face is going to be your primary way of influencing the start direction of your golf ball, whereas your body and the path that you swing the club on is going to be the primary indicator of the type of spin you put on the golf ball and the type of curve and shot shape you have. And although changing our alignment can definitely impact the way the ball curves and the shot shape that we have, it's important that if we're not trying to drastically manipulate ball flight, that we don't try this on every different shot and try to kind of change things this way. If you're going to really work on an alignment change, we either want it to be a big shot that we need to shape, or we want it to be something that you work on in a lesson that you have kind of supervision and kind of instant feedback to know if you're making the change correctly, if everything's lined up, or if there's a different way you need to go about making this change. For those small little, I want to hit a draw instead of a fade, or I want to hit it this way instead of that way, I wouldn't really change the alignment too much. That one I would kind of do more as an in-swing adjustment opposed to something with my setup. If I'm trying to hit a big shot shape, such as to curve one around a tree, to kind of hit a little punch shot and have it cut or anything where I'm trying to drastically change the way that my body moves, that I'm going to change with my alignment a little bit. Anything where I'm trying to shape the ball a certain way, I'm not trying to drastically change the way I'm setting up to the ball, and I'm not trying to drastically change the way I swing. Any small shot shape changes, we don't want to really kind of use alignment for. And we want to kind of address those with a golf professional in a lesson, something where we can kind of see the best way of attacking the change that we want to make. So that's going to conclude our episode on alignment today. As always, if you have any questions, comments, anything you wish I covered, anything you want some more clarity on, leave those in the comments below. Also, if you have any topics that you want me to talk about with Golf 101, leave those in the comments below. I'm kind of going down kind of a path right now where we're talking about pre-shot adjustments, and we'll probably do some stuff about in the golf swing. We might do some rules, etiquette. We might do some stuff on the golf course and different shots that you can learn how to hit, stuff like that. So I'm kind of just going video by video right now, kind of just seeing all the different things that we can talk about, all the different things I can kind of elaborate on and can hopefully give you guys some more clarity and some more knowledge on. But if you have anything else that you really want me to talk about, leave them in the comments below and I will definitely get to it in a future episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. And as always, let's play for par.